morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Scott. Welcome to episode 3 of Papercuts, a Deathnote recap podcast. With me, of course, is my wonderful co-host, Ollie. Hi, Ollie. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, not episode 3.
Yeah,
Oh
it
man, show's
it feels
getting
like
really good.
it's getting like the show is crawling along slowly, like the podcast is crawling along slowly, but like
hmm
it's important to remember that these things take time.
hmm
Anyway, on today's episode of Paper Cuts, we will be recapping and discussing episodes 9 through 12 of Deathnote, as we are wont to do here. But first off, Ollie, how was your week?
Week was pretty great. Busy, busy, busy. Spring is here. Everyone wants to go outside, get some work done, and that's where I kick in. Everybody wants something half a world away, and they expect me to make it happen in 24 hours, which
Oh
is
no,
oh,
you don't
okay.
work for you don't work for Amazon, do you?
No, I work in infrastructure.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah, and then
Very,
looking at,
very,
yeah,
very
it's good.
important work.
It is. But hey, logistics are getting better compared to last year. Last year was a nightmare, like if we're talking about international logistics due to the vid that happened. But now it's getting better. Everyone looks a lot happier compared to last year.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely, you definitely see that in folks for sure. If you are a big fan of the show, don't forget that we are on all of your regular podcast apps. The video for this podcast will be uploaded to the Walkstars YouTube channel if you feel like watching us do the thing. And you'll notice that this week the show wasn't streamed. And if you also notice that the audio quality is a lot better, it's
Mhm.
because we decided not to stream it because the multiple rendering cycles basically ruined the sound. So hopefully this episode comes out in much better quality than the previous episode did. So for that we apologize, but this is just kind of how the way things are going to be going forward. If you still want to watch the episode being produced live, that's something you can reach out to us about, and
Yeah.
maybe we can work something out. I'm thinking maybe a patron award when that eventually gets launched.
Yeah, or we can do some dry runs of have some like interaction of some sort with the
Mm-hmm.
listeners slash viewers. That'd be awesome too.
Absolutely. So without further ado, that's enough housekeeping, packaged up, thrown away, because we're done with the housekeeping of the show. So,
Let's go.
episode 9. The OP is still a banger, still can't skip it. Encounter. So this episode picks up pretty much right after the potato chip incident, which, like, okay, I don't know if we talked about this last week, but did you find that the potato chip scene was less climactic than you thought?
It still hit me the same, man. Like,
Okay, well, it's where you and I
like
differ.
if you have the context of what's happening, like let's say a person who never saw the show watched this episode and like, oh, what's
Right.
Buddy doing? Well, he's unlifing bad people while eating potato chips while
Yeah.
being
No,
watched by
okay.
64 cameras.
It
Yeah.
is pretty rad.
Yeah.
So episode 9 picks up pretty much right after that. And Ryuk, our Hot Topic Death God, is all twisted up due to his withdrawals from not being able to
Apples.
eat apples, which is pretty hilarious, and that he's basically a fiend for apples.
Yep.
And so Light decides to go for a walk and buy him some apples. But he has to actually feed them to Ryuk because he's just lost the use of his arms for some reason. He's all like, you can't see if you're just listening, you can't see me, but he's all like twisted up.
He's all mangled.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But Light is still able to continue killing just by remembering people's names and just writing them down later.
Yeah.
Which is something that it's almost as if nobody ever expected that.
He's
And it's
smartest dude in Japan, bud. I mean, I mean, yeah.
The fact that he doesn't have to have the Death Note with him all the time means that he can pretty much do what he's doing wherever and whenever he wants to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and what's really interesting is that, well, I thought was interesting, was that Ryuk basically threatens to write Light's name in his Death Note, like right away, if he just is nicer to him, which kind of shows how much of an addict Ryuk really is for these apples. He's like, if you don't give them to me, I'll
He
just
does love his
write your
apples.
name in my book.
I mean,
And
here's
of
what I don't
course,
get, man. Like, why can't just Ryuk like fly around and start, eating apples randomly? He can totally do that.
well, isn't he like bound to Light?
So does Light need to touch the apple for Ryuk to eat it, or how does this work?
No, but I'm thinking that maybe Ryuk can't be too far away from Light.
Huh?
Maybe like there's like a leash or something connecting the two.
Huh? Note to
And
self: never
so,
touch a death. Hmm.
or do, or
I,
do.
ah.
And so L decides after watching back this footage that the tapes really don't show anything obvious about who Kira is.
Nothing weird.
There's nothing weird going on. It's ordinary, but it's almost too ordinary.
See, that's the thing, man.
That's part of it.
You
And so L
cover something
decides
too
to,
good. It looks way too good. Like,
it's
oh,
way too good.
this is.
And so L decides, and this is great. So L decides to take a more direct approach, but at this point, we don't know what that more direct approach is. And he figures that if he can get close enough to his suspects, that they will admit that either they are Kira or that they know who Kira is. And at this point, the only people who could be Kira are people who were being tailed by Ray Pember. Like, that's
Yep.
still the crux of their investigation.
And there's only two, right? I remember there
Well,
was only two of them.
there was two families.
Yeah. Still a lot of people.
Absolutely. And so the task force is instructed to remove all the cameras to the Agami house, which Ryuk discovers the next day. And needless to say, he's overjoyed and munches an apple immediately. But with this stress off his shoulders, Light is finally able to focus on, surprise, surprise, the university entrance exams.
Yep.
Now, on the day of the exam, Light is real confident, showing up like 5 minutes before the beginning of the exam, and just not having any issue with it when
None.
somebody,
Zero.
like one of the proctors, calls him out on it.
He has. It's like
But
almost he knows what's going to happen. Like he knows.
it's almost like he's reading the manga.
It's like this, man. Let's say you've been doing something for like, when they say that if you do something for 5 years, it's a skill. If you do something for 10, it's an instinct. So I think for
Test
Buddy,
taking is an
yeah,
instinct.
it's an instinct for this guy to like, you know what? I'm just gonna walk up to this school and like write some stuff on paper and just do this like formalities for him. I'm gonna get into this
Yeah,
university. This is my shtick.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
he's
Oh,
at
that's
that
good stuff.
level. I'm like, ugh, hate him. I hate
So
him.
just as Light is about to pick up his pencil to start writing, you hear one of the proctors reprimanding another boy for sitting improperly.
Yep.
And we zoom out, and as soon as that person said that, we're like, oh man, I bet we know who that person is.
Oh yeah.
It's L. L is in the same university entrance exam as Light, which is hilarious because neither of them has any idea who the other is.
Yep.
So it's one of those beautiful, like, dramatic irony moments when we know what's going on. We know how hype this is, but the boys have no idea. But this kind of calls into question the boys' ages. So obviously, you can be any age and attend post-secondary education. Lots of people go back to school as
Yeah.
older adults. But it's almost as if they position the two boys as being around the same age.
I think we talked about this in previous episodes, right? We were wondering,
We
like,
definitely did.
how old do you think Elle is? Like, this is weird.
Right. I don't think he's that much older than Light. I really don't.
No,
Because think about it. Light also assisted on previous cases with the police.
yeah, he was. I'm not sure about the laws. I mean, he's technically a minor. I'm not sure how that works working with police in Japan. If anyone knows about that,
Oh
let us
yeah, if
know.
you know, drop it in the comments
Yeah,
or
because
get in touch with us.
we're not really familiar with international laws. But like, that being said, it makes you think like, okay, buddy over here is so smart. He's helping the police. Huh. He's not in university. Hmm. Huh.
And I'm wondering if they leave his age anonymous, ubiquitous, vague. They leave his age vague on purpose
Yeah. Also,
because
to add, yeah,
like to add
it could be
mysteriousness
vague.
to the guy.
It does. Also to add to the ceremony, so both of them were there.
Yeah.
Professor called out L.
Yeah.
Light rolled up wearing a full-on suit. He rolled up there like
And
a
Elle just rolled
G.
out of Elle just rolled out of bed.
And then Buddy over here, sitting
And
really
so
on a chair, shows up.
and so
I don't know, man.
so now we flash back to the Shinigami realm. And we find out that a couple of the death gods are chatting about Ryuk and how he's been gone for ages, like as if he's been gone for quite some time. And in story, in universe, I think it's definitely been probably almost a year at this point.
I think
Like it's been some time.
even possibly a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, maybe a year.
Because it
Maybe a
starts
year.
when he's in It starts when he's in senior year, when Light was in senior year.
Oh, it's a year. More or less a year.
And so 3 months later, we learn that Light got a perfect score in the entrance exam and is
Surprise.
enrolled in Toho University, which I guess is a really big deal. I guess it's a huge major university.
Yeah.
Not sure if it's a real place or not, but either way, it's a big deal for him. As both Light and Elle got perfect marks on their entrance exams, they share the enrollment speech. So they're the only two boys who got perfect marks. And this scene does a really great job of just showing the differences between the two boys.
Yeah.
With Light being like obviously a groomed super genius and
Suit.
Elle looking like a mad scientist. Now, after the speech, Elle introduced himself as Hideki Ryuga. No, he's announced as Hideki Ryuga, which happens to be the same name as a pop idol. The pop idol that Light's sister was watching the night that
the good-looking guy, the celebrity.
Definitely good-looking guy, absolutely. And the shot between them two, like I said, it just really shows their differences. And I am really down with the red versus blue dynamic between the two boys.
I dig that a lot, and even like how they present them physically. Like you have this, you have Elle hunched over, shows up to the entrance ceremony, got perfect scores, rolls up in jeans. I don't know, he might be wearing like Vans or Puma Clydes for all I know. A plain long sleeve shirt, and he's just an odd guy. I mean, completely different from Elle. Again, like what Scott said about the red and blue. Like they showed a complete contrast of these two. Like as if it's not as if they are going to be the main powers competing in this show.
Well, they have been. They are. So, after the speech, both men are seated. Elle reveals that he's working with Light's father and wants to reveal something regarding the case, and very quickly outs himself as Elle.
Yep.
Which just sends Light spinning. And there is something so satisfying about seeing Light lose his shit.
You know, you're right. It's like this is how I see it, bud. Uh, you know how people play, let's say poker.
Yeah.
You know how people play poker face to face on tables, right?
Yep.
You do something or say something, you get a reaction, right?
Yeah.
But
Yep.
if you
Yep. Yep.
play
Yep. Yep.
online, you don't see anything.
Nope.
So I guess that's what L is going for, eh? He's like,
He's trying to make him crack.
yeah, sup, bud? Guess what?
And
Got
so
something for you.
Light is panicking. Why would L reveal himself? If I write down this guy's name, which just might be correct, I don't actually know, I could slip and kill the pop star by mistake. And
Because
if
that's
that
the
is his
face.
real name,
Because that's the
and
face he's going to be thinking.
exactly. And so but if it happens to be right and this kid dies and L dies, then the police they're going to close in on him. It
Yeah.
was the perfect move. And so and that's when Light realizes that Ray Pember's suspects are still the prime suspects in the Kira case, and he's still under investigation.
Yeah,
And
dude.
so Light L gives an amicable goodbye to Light as he rides away in a limo, and Light makes it all the way home before snapping into a furious rage. And I gotta say, I have never identified with an antagonist so much after a difficult work meeting
Hey,
where
man.
you're not able to express your full rage until the end of the day when you're at home.
Dude, you know what? I might be shallow for saying this, but it's just the irony that Light showed up full suit, and then
And he
L
got
shows
clowned
up,
on.
and then Buddy's wearing jeans and a long sleeve shirt, looks weird. Rolls out of school with a Rolls Royce waiting for him, and then Kira's taking a hike. I'm
Yep.
like,
Yep.
sup? I'm like,
Absolutely.
uh, that probably pissed him off a bit more. Like, ah, sup, bud?
And so Light, after his tantrum, throws a tanty, chucks a tanty, finally comes down and realizes that L wouldn't put himself in this position if the Kira case was not at a complete standstill. And so at the end of this
Which,
episode,
mhm,
Light decides to use this budding friendship with L because they were amicable, they were friendly, they already have the connection of Light's father, uh, to find out L's real name and end him with the Deathnote.
yep,
This is a
it's it's a good show.
pretty exciting episode.
Would you say this the whole series is bingeable?
I would say this is a very, very bingeable series. I
Like
think
37, eh?
if you wanted to, you could get through this whole series in a weekend easy.
That is true. It's like 20 minutes per episode, like minus
22
the
minutes per
intro.
episode. Yep.
Minus the intro. Yeah, it's very bingeable. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. 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 And that's
Recommend.
part of the fun of. But I think there's something to be said about breaking it up into chunks of episodes rather than watching them all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gives you the chance because it gives you the chance to kind of digest what's happening. Because how many
Exactly.
times do you binge a series and then just never see it again?
Huh. I did that so many times.
Right?
What
Or
series?
or a game or a book or any
Yeah,
type of or a movie franchise. You binge
yeah,
them,
yeah.
you watch all of them or you see all of them, or you play all of them back to back to back, and then you just never play them again.
Yeah. But there are some that you go back to from time to time. Some of
Well,
them.
yeah, absolutely. But I think there's something to be said about drawing it out a little bit more. And that
Mm-hmm.
was always the draw of network television, was that you had to wait till the next week to see what happened.
Oh, 90s. Oh.
It was frustrating, but like it kept you hooked. It kept you
Saturday
interested in
morning
the story.
cartoons. Yeah,
And
Saturday morning cartoons.
you experienced the story over a longer period of time.
That is true. That is true.
So, anything else to say about episode 9?
Oh, episode 9. I, you know what? I want to come up with an award, like, the Golden Wheelbarrow.
Okay.
It's
Tell me about
like,
the golden wheelbarrow.
it's like when L said, "I'm L," just give him a wheelbarrow to put his cojones on. Hey
Oh.
man, you're gonna need this to roll out of the school because you have like very
At
big
the end of the
cojones.
at the end of every series,
Congratulations.
Ollie, at the end of every series we cover, we should have a golden wheelbarrow award
Oh yeah, we
for
should.
the biggest
There's a
cojones.
lot of dudes. There's a lot of people who's deserving of the wheelbarrow in this show.
Absolutely, not just in this series. I mean, in any series, whatever. We can get into it. We'll have that
We'll
conversation.
get there.
Anyway, back to the show. Episode 10, Doubt. Now, the first thing I have in this episode is, oh my god, it's the tennis episode.
Yeah, I forgot a
Which,
lot
like,
about this episode.
oh man. So first of all, chuck one more accomplishment up to Chad Kuhn Lightboy,
Oh
as we
gosh.
learn that both of our boys were tennis champs back in the day.
Yep. Yep.
So L challenges Light to a friendly game to get to know each other.
Friendly.
And it seems that regardless of whether Light wins or loses the game, he's still gonna be suspected as Kira.
Hey man.
Because like if he loses on purpose, L's gonna know. And he's gonna think that he's Kira. But if he wins, it'll be because Kira also hates to lose.
It's just gonna confirm it.
And so
It's
and so we get the tennis match, and both boys are pretty much on the same page about what Light will try to do next. Now we could go into the tennis match scene by, like bit by bit, but I didn't bother writing it all because it's just so much. Honestly, watch the tennis scene. If you don't know anything about the show, watch the tennis scene. And if you dig the vibe of the tennis scene, you'll probably dig the show.
oh,
So,
Prince of Tennis vibe. I watched that.
was it good?
Dude, yeah.
Okay.
Sports anime is pretty good to say.
Okay, Prince of Tennis. Now, they both agree, they're both on the same page, that Light will try to get to Task Force headquarters next in order to confirm both of each other's identities. So like Light doesn't necessarily believe that this gentleman, this guy, is really L. So he's going to try and go to the headquarters to try and get somebody else to confirm it. Just as L isn't 100% sure whether or not he can really trust Light, so he wants to get his father to like be on that same vibe. And honestly, I gotta be honest.
Dude,
Jesus,
that's
let's
super
talk
honest, dog.
redundancy. Oof, let's talk redundant language.
All good, all good.
The tennis scene was not as well animated as I remember. Like I'm remembering that the money that goes into the show is not necessarily in the action scenes.
I have to say, like back in, during its era.
But remember when you first watched it, how freaking cool it was.
Yeah. But then again, if you're talking about effects, right, you have to compare it to other like, let's not go to action. Let's just go to sports anime, like Hajime no Ippo, like the boxing one. It's not a big budget company by any means. I mean, it's well budgeted, but like maybe it's the skill of the artist or the animator. We don't know, but I would agree.
We're gonna have a conversation towards the end of this episode about some general thoughts on the show so far.
Oh yeah, totally.
So, Light wins the tennis match and has gone from a 1% chance in the eyes of L of being Kira to 3%. As if that actually makes a difference.
Do you think that would have gone up if he lost?
Well, that's just it.
So,
like, would it really? Does it really make it? Was the tennis scene really even worth it? Is my question.
To be honest, man,
It was cool.
It's cool. It's cool. I think
It's
he just
cool.
wants to see the behavior. I think that's
Right.
just it.
Okay,
Right?
yeah, absolutely. So they go to a coffee shop to have a chat about the case because they figured that was going to be the next thing anyway. And L reveals why he squats all the time.
Yep.
And he says that if he were to sit normally, he would lose 40% of his deductive capabilities.
I don't know how he derived that. Like, I don't know what algorithm.
I does this science exist? I don't trust this man's science. Because
Ah,
I'm going to let you know a little secret. There was a period in high school when I was a very big weeb. I know, big surprise. And I tried sitting like that for a little bit. And it made no difference.
but you're a big. How do you fit?
I didn't. Whatever. Point is, I looked like a fool for those times that I tried. Oh, I'm just beating up my microphone. I looked like a fool for the times I tried.
I'm
And it
trying
made
to
no difference.
I'm trying to picture that out now.
Yeah, my knee doesn't actually bend that far anymore.
Damn.
Old
I don't know,
injury.
man.
It's,
Medically speak, like, in a medical sense,
yep.
if you squat like that, it actually helps you evacuate your
Yeah,
much
absolutely.
much better. But like when he said it makes him think, specifically 40%, not 39.9, not 41, 40%.
Yeah.
I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't know how he came up with that number. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not good.
I don't know.
So L shows Light the notes that were left on the prison cells, and Light figures out immediately on the first try because L's trying to test Light's deductive capabilities, and so to test it, he shows Light the 3 notes that the prisoners left before they died when Kira was experimenting.
That was back
And
on
Light,
episode.
we talked about it in episode 1 of the podcast.
What's that? One? Yeah, I think it is one. Yeah, yeah,
1 or 2. We have talked about it.
yeah.
And Light figures it out immediately as L, do you know that gods of death love apples? And so then L tries to scam Light into thinking. Now I'm actually going to read this because it's a bit complicated, their reasoning, and I actually
Yeah,
wrote
yeah,
it all
yeah.
down.
Go for it.
So L tries to scam Light by adding a 4th note, making the message, L, do you know gods of death who love apples have red hands? Claiming that Light should have been open to the possibility that there could have been a 4th note, and the fact that Light was insistent on the fact that there's only 3 raises L's suspicions up to 7%.
Ooh.
So
Slowly
Light
climbing that.
is not looking good. And he
Yeah.
even realized he's just like, damn, I gotta stop playing into his hand. If I keep this up, I'm sunk. So just as Light is starting to figure this out, both boys get a phone call. Chief Yakami has
Mhm.
had a heart attack.
Oh, right.
And so as an audience, you're like, oh my god, Kira struck again. Is he? Don't worry. He's alive. But he's in the hospital. He's just been very, very stressed. But obviously, everybody involved is pretty freaked out.
I mean, like, if I was Kira's dad, like, oh, I'm going after this killer. Oh, my
Well, look,
family's under surveillance. I'm going to be working overnight. I'm not going to be coming home. Yeah.
yeah, okay, obviously a lot of stress, but it does foreshadow what comes next in the
Mm-hmm.
idea of something happening beyond Light's control.
Mm-hmm.
And so L and Light both go to the hospital. and they have the three of them have a conversation about they discuss that this power that Kira has, whatever it is a curse. And of course, Light reveals that he's never been happier since he picked up the Death Note. Doesn't feel cursed at all.
Straight up.
Around the same time as this, some mysterious tapes arrive at Sakura TV. Apparently, they're from Kira.
Yep.
And so that concludes episode 10.
Just to give you context on Sakura TV, what's like the modern equivalent of this? It's a station that's known for just like spreading gossip, weird stuff, anything for ratings.
They'd be Fox News.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sakura TV is Fox News.
Yeah. TMZ.
If it bleeds, it leads, people.
Get views. Done. Yeah.
Nothing else matters. So it was around this episode that I started to question, could this show be an audio drama?
I think anything can be an audio drama at this point, except for A Quiet Place.
Well,
that's one. Like, how do you make that into audio drama?
But like, if this show just had like a narrator, just given so I'm just thinking based on the amount of dialogue in the show, and I'm gonna say lack of visual eye candy. I wonder if this show would be just as good as an audio drama.
I would say yes, because like I said, I have 3 jobs, and one of my jobs doesn't require me paying attention a lot, so I slap on some earbuds. You go to Spotify, again, I listen to a lot of shows there.
Yep.
There are shows there, man, that the voice acting, the narration, everything is so on point.
Mm-hmm.
You just have this picture in your head playing while you're doing something.
Exactly.
And I'm going to send you a link later. One of them that I really like is called Find Us Alive.
Okay.
Give it when you're sitting down, just play it in the background, like do something. You'll be like, whoa, what? Oh, damn. Oh, 10 out of 10. Would recommend that one.
Okay. I'll definitely check that out. I'll check it out. Send me the link. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it was around here that I started to notice that it's really good that this show came out when it did.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it came out this year and it wasn't something that was broadcasted at the quality that it was, on broadcast television, I really don't think it would be well remembered or well regarded as it is today. And that's because the visual fidelity on a lot of medium wide shots or medium close shots, medium shots in general, is really I was having flashbacks to early Dragon Ball Super.
Huh. Man. It's like day and night, the quality.
Do you mean in the last 20 years?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Day and night.
But it's good that this came out when it did.
Yeah.
And it's good that the writing holds it up as well as it does.
But one thing's for sure. If it came out, the year it did, or it came out today, one thing's going to be sure. Deathnote merchandise is going to be on Hot Topic.
Oh, it was. It totally was.
If it came out 2023, Hot Topic's going to be selling that stuff like that. Man.
But but even when it did come out, it already was.
On Hot Topic, eh?
I think so. I remember.
I'm pretty sure I've still seen it back then when I saw Hot Topic down on Van Island. And then I was just walking by. I was like, oh, I know that.
Yeah. We're gonna continue this conversation in just a little bit.
Yeah.
So episode 11 starts. Assault. this episode is so good.
Yep.
Like, oh man, so good. So the task force is finally having a conversation about the disappearance of Naomi. Naomi, who was a very
right.
good agent, who just disappeared.
FBI.
Assuming that, like, they assume that Kira got her, but they're like, if we open up this investigation, it'll have to be separate from the Kira case, even though it's probable that Kira got to her as she was Ray Pember's fiance. And we know that Kira was being investigated by Ray Pember. So they kind of use that as a really good sort of recap about what's kind of going on. They're interrupted from a broadcast from Kira on Sakura TV. A scrambled voice claiming to be Kira predicts to the second when a famous news anchor with a minor scandal will die.
Yep.
They switch channels, and just in time to watch this person die live on TV. But, like, it seems pretty weird that Kira's killing TV hosts. Like, this isn't really his usual MO.
Yep.
In an effort to stop the broadcasting, Ukita, a member of the task force, rushes to Sakura Studios, suddenly has a heart attack, and collapses in front of the station dead. 2 more officers share the same fate.
Yep.
And L has to control the other task members as to not needlessly throw their lives away by going there too. Somehow, somebody has managed to kill Ukita and 2 other members of the police force without necessarily knowing their names.
Yep.
Which immediately reminds L to think that, oh, maybe Kira already had her name somehow?
Possibly.
Which is definitely possible. Meanwhile, Soichiro, who's Light's father, is watching all this unfold on the TV from the hospital bed and draws his badass card. And he drives a goddamn police van through the studio.
Yep.
Pulls a gun on the program director and says that if you don't stop this broadcast, I'm going to, like, you're dead. He's like, but if we stop, Kira will kill us. And he says, well, or I'll kill you right now.
You choose, baby.
Which, I mean, they obviously stop. It obviously stops the TV. It stops it. And
Grabs
so,
the tapes.
Just before it ends, Kira demands that the police work with him to make the world a better place. And after went down with the police officers who died, and with what Soichiro pulls off, the police are standing firmly against Kira.
Yep.
And form a full visual barricade around Sakura TV to ensure that Soichiro and the tapes can get out safely.
Yep.
Because they don't know how they died, but have a hypothesis that Kira was able to kill them by seeing their faces.
That's it. Golden wheelbarrow. Soichiro. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man.
He takes it.
Oh.
Yeah, dude. Mm-hmm.
This got me more hyped than I remember this getting me hyped before.
Oh, man.
Like, I think I remembered the scene a little bit, but when it happened, like, this got me more hyped than the chip scene, than the tennis scene.
I think, the chip scene, I think my most hype scene there is the last episode, if I remember correctly.
Okay, that's cool. I'm looking forward to when we get there finally. So we see a table, a chair, and a pair of binoculars with a view of the TV station. At this point, Light is revealed to not be the one who did this. and he's shocked, disappointed, and also a little bit intrigued about who this new Kira is.
Yep.
He figures out pretty much immediately that they must have the Shinigami eyes, as they were able to kill without knowing the names of the police officers. And in order to deal with them, must join the task force in order to catch this second Kira before they do.
So you're going to find out how this second Kira works. You know, like being this guy, like he thinks like, oh, I'm better than this second Kira. Like, you know, this person's going to mess everything up. So I need to catch him. Like, wow. Okay, dude.
So the second Kira, so while going over the night's events, L deducts pretty much a 70% chance that there is a second Kira. And despite his name not being totally clear, Light must join the task force because of just how in sync they had been on the case so far. The second Kira is revealed to be a young woman with the Shinigami eyes and is way more powerful than the original Kira.
Yep.
But she's got no fear because she believes that Kira would never kill somebody with a pure heart. Finally, as of seeing this woman, whom we don't have a name for yet, her name isn't actually mentioned until the next episode. We know who the mysterious woman at the beginning of the OP is.
Yep.
At the end of the OP, we know who that woman is now. We know she's the second Kira, whom Light is obviously going to be in contact with at some point because she's seen as reaching out for him at the end of the OP.
She wants to collab.
Oh, she's all about that collab, baby.
Yeah, dude. Collaboration, baby. Let's do it.
But I mean, let's be real. She wants to collaborate on more than just their study
100%.
sessions.
Yeah. She I would not touch her without a 10-foot pole. I was gonna put it out there.
We find out just how whack she is in the next episode.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep.
Oh, so episode 12. Love.
Yep. It's so funny they call this episode Love. I'm like,
well, we find out why towards the end.
Sure.
I feel like this episode is less about the Kira investigation and more about what we learn about the world as a whole.
Yep.
So Light is finally asked to join the Kira task force and is surprised to say the least, but all the same, he's pretty stoked. As a test, he is asked what he thinks of the video sent by Kira from the TV station, and to everyone's surprise, including L's, he figures out...
How many tapes were sent?
I think there were 4 tapes sent.
Yeah, okay, got
it. He was like right on the money. Like he figured out immediately that obviously there's a second Kira. Despite the fact that Light obviously knows it's a second Kira because
he's the one. He's one of them.
But he didn't. But he managed to do it in a way that didn't like make himself look like
sus.
That's actually a great way to use the word. Can you guess I've never played Among Us?
It's actually fun. I played a few times.
I've heard good things.
I love the smack talking.
Well, that's the only reason you play, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So, but in Light's mind, after watching these videos, it's pretty great. He's just like pissed off at the fact that she did such a crappy job of the video. She's like, you're ruining my good name by killing all these other people that really don't matter. And the video is shit. And it just looks bad. Like, what is this crap? I gotta find this person now because
he's offended.
They're ruining my reputation.
You're giving me a bad rap. I'm offended, dog. Like, this is sloppy. What the hell?
And so,
Yeah.
in an act of absolute beautiful, again, dramatic irony, the task force agrees to have Light script a video pretending to be Kira in order to lure the second
Mhm.
Kira into a
And they-
meeting. Meanwhile, he's like, this is too perfect. I don't even really have to pretend. So to lure the second Kira into a meeting with somebody whom the task force is faking is Kira, but like it's actually Kira? And she falls for it, hook, line, and sinker. But in that video, this woman, who we find out whose name is Misa Amane, immediately falls in love with Kira after hearing this video, and mentions that, quote, "It's okay, I have the eyes, and when we meet we can show each other our Shinigami to prove who we are."
oh,
And after this video, L
the
has
word.
his first breakdown of the series, and it is chef's kiss,
It's like,
absolutely perfect.
it's like, what's this? What?
He just throws his hands up and starts screaming, just horrified at the idea that Shinigami might be
Exists.
real.
I
And
would.
so
I
the
would.
police.
I'd freak
Go
out.
ahead. You'd freak out?
I'd freak out. Like, dude, come on.
But the fact that the way it went down is just so good. But the police chief suggests that they could still be dealing with the real Kira, because Kira also mentioned Shinigami in the mocking experiments from much earlier in the case. But they decided that because there's no way that Shinigami could be real, it must be what they call their power.
It'd be.
It must be what they call their killing power.
And that being said, it kind of gave away some information about Kira because those words, Shinigami, blah blah blah, and
Why does
this
this
and
keep
that,
coming up? Yeah.
right?
And so let's. I want to circle back to something really quickly that we said in a previous episode about how at no point does L not believe that something like this is even possible.
Well, him being a man of seems like he is a man of logic, right? He doesn't
Right.
believe in I feel like he doesn't believe in the supernatural.
Right. But he's faced with this situation that defies all logic, and at no point thinks that there could, like, did he at no point think that there was something else going on?
I would say
Like,
he did, but it's like this. It's like, how do I say this? Let's say you confront Einstein about actual, supernatural stuff. He would
mm-hmm,
100%, maybe, I'm not sure, he would find a scientific explanation about what's going on, right?
mm-hmm,
So maybe of all the cases he cracked, you know, L is like, oh, this can't be it. This can't be it. So he might have had that air that, oh, I've seen stuff that nobody else has saw, but I've never came across something like this, and this is
something that I
impossible.
couldn't explain, and
Yeah,
how the idea of the existence of the supernatural kind of breaks that understanding.
it's human. It's human nature, dude. Like when we find something out that we just can't explain, we're like, what?
As L does.
Yeah.
I love the
I
way
guess that's it.
I love the way that they I love the way they show that scene. It's so
Oh man,
good. And
he just
so
can't take it. He's like, huh.
they also decide to broadcast this other response, or the response to the second Kira, the second response by the second Kira, in hopes of triggering the original Kira to step up and do something. Little do they know that Kira's standing right beside them, as she's revealing a lot of details regarding the Kira power set and details that they would obviously want to keep under wraps. Now here, the episode takes a turn, and we find out how a Shinigami can actually die when Misa questions Rem, her death god, about where she got a second Deathnote. Now, we also have the first mention of the Shinigami King, which is really cool.
There's a king.
Which I don't think we ever actually meet. But I gotta say that this scene kind of reminds me of the opera scene from Star Wars Episode 3. In that it opens up the world and offers a lot of cool history, but is also like an incredibly pivotal moment in the story.
Mm-hmm.
So, in this scene, we learned the tale of Jealous, a Shinigami
with a
fell
G,
in love,
not a J, with a G.
With a G, who fell in love with a human after watching them in the portal for years.
Man.
Now, this human that Jealous watched was a superstar, was an idol, was a singer, was a model. And one day, somebody who claimed to be a fan showed up to try and mug her. Now, it was her time to die. Her lifespan was coming. Her life was coming to an end. But Jealous, being devoted to this woman and being as in love with this woman as he is, wrote her attacker's name in his death note.
Which is a no-no.
Therefore, causing her lifespan to be extended. Now, because he used his death note, now this is what was pivotal from that story. Because he used his death note to extend the natural life of a human, essentially, he ceases to exist.
Yep.
He withers away to rust and bones.
Yep.
Leaving only his death note behind.
And
that
Rem.
human, grabbed by Rem. Rem just happened to be in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And that human's life, and that human received all of the remaining life,
which I guess is a lot,
Jealous had.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that this human's natural life is now well beyond what is expected for a human being.
Natural human being.
Turns out that woman that Jealous was obsessed with was, in fact, Misa. And as a final testament to his friend, or to their friend, Rem decided to gift Misa Jealous's death note.
Yep.
So Light. So after this whole story, Misa talks about how beautiful it is to kill somebody with love.
Oh, God.
And suggests that there's no... And then mentions something like that to Rem. And Rem says, there's no way you're going to pull that with me.
I hate her.
I'm not like, that's not going to work. And so we cut back to Light, who is back at the same coffee shop, thinking about what is he going to do about this second Kira. And at the next table, Misa comes in, orders herself a great big strawberry sundae, and sits there wondering what kind of man Kira just might be. So close, and yet so far.
Oh, man.
To be continued.
I agree.
What a wild bunch of episodes.
It is. It is.
Oh, man. Oh, man. I went back. I went back just for fun and watched some of the sub as well. I gotta say, the dub is way better than the sub.
Really?
My personal opinion. I think the voice cast better suits the characters. I don't know the voice cast off the top of my head, but I think I'm a dub man, and I might get skewered for that. But I think I'm a dub man on this show.
I'm gonna check it out.
Check out the sub. Seriously, watch an episode on the sub, a previous episode of the sub. Let me know what you think next week.
Because I watch a 3-hour movie back to back. So that's 6 hours of the same movie. It's called Das Boot. It's a German movie. Really great movie.
Okay.
I watch it on German first with English subtitles.
Right.
Pretty good. I watch it on dub. Didn't hit the same.
So I actually have an explanation for that.
Go for it.
I think part of the reason why anime works better as a dub is because you don't have any like mouth movements beyond open close, which is easier to dub over than actual human speech.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like the visual and the audio, it just doesn't work as well when you're like talking to somebody and you see their mouth moving differently than the voice that's coming out of them.
Oh, I'm gonna give that a shot later.
For sure.
A few episodes.
So there you have it. Episodes 9 through 12 of Deathnote. A lot of stuff's happened. A couple of players have been added to the chessboard.
Plot thickens.
And you can bet that next week on Papercuts, we'll be covering episodes
13 to 16.
13 to 6, 13, 14, 15, yes, 13 to 16.
It gets gnarly.
I can't wait. My name is Scott.
My name's Ollie.
And we're here, and you've been listening to Papercuts, a Deathnote recap podcast.
Yeah.
Ollie, where can people find you on the internet? Just before you go.
All right, you can find. I still don't have my Instagram handle memorized because I don't Instagram a lot.
Is it
you can
Extra
find me
Rice Inc?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at extrarice_inc. And that's it. That's where I'm at. Send me a message, any questions, anything under the sun. There's no such thing as stupid question. Maybe one is water wet. No. Maybe like that. But yeah, drop a line. Let's talk about stuff. If you have any suggestions for the show, let us know about the audio quality of this one because Scotty tried a new method on this one.
Yeah. So this time we didn't stream it because the rendering process ruined the audio last week. Yeah. As I said, my name is Scott, aka Walkstar. You can find me on the internet. Walkstars with a Z is obviously the YouTube channel that you might be watching this on, or you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Walkstars and on Instagram at Walkstars with 2 Z's at the end. So thank you so much for listening. This has been Papercuts, a Deathnote recap podcast, and we'll catch you next week.
Have a good week. Bye.